Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Father's Day and all that. Great to be here once again. With all of you, whoever you are, wherever you are, we feel your presence.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's
Happy
Day.
Father's Day.
I hear the music
I hear the music
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I hear the music
I hear the music
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I hear the music
I hear the music
down in my soul.
down in my soul, and the whole wide world is my home. I got a new day down in my soul. I got a new day down in my soul. I got a new day down in my soul. And the whole wide world is my home.
I love the silence down in my soul. I love the silence down in my soul. I love the silence down in my soul.
And the whole wide world is my home.
I feel the power.
I feel the power
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I feel the power.
I feel the power
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I feel the power.
I feel the power
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
And the whole wide world is my home.
I hear the music
I hear the music
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I hear the music
I hear the music
down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I hear the music
I hear the music down in my soul, and the whole wide world is my home.
Oh, yes, it is.
And the whole wide world is my home.
Right. Good morning, Dennis. Ryan is our virtual platform assistant this morning. Step right up. He's real. He is real. I can see that. It's true.
Good morning, Unity Church in Albany.
Good morning, Dennis Ryan.
This is where I usually say, I'm the leader of the prayer chaplains. However, I had a birthday yesterday, so I am new. Do you see me? I am new. My dad has been gone for 49 years. And I have not come through those 49 years without mentors, substitute dads. In this community, people think that I was just beamed in just the way I am. And that's not the way it happened. I am grateful for the fathers who have mentored me in this community. I am grateful for Reverend Arthur Wells, for Reverend Jim Fuller. I'm grateful for the teachers, Morgan Barclay, Bill Bird, John Daubney, Rob Geyer, Phil Flint, Gary Alaco. I'm grateful for the chaplains who have modeled chaplaincy for me. Paul Barnard, Bob Stinacor, Dave Farrell, Jack Allison, Jordan Mositas. And those fellows who modeled for me what it's about to be a church trustee. John Britton, John Frederick, Bill Hewson, Sam House, John Reith, and the indomitable Paul Freeman. Paul Freeman is like the Energizer Bunny. He's always in the garden, he's always working, and he's always smiling. Paul would like anyone who is interested in socially distanced gardening to join him here at the church. Contact Paul or Dottie. This morning's reading comes from Paul Butterworth. Starts with an affirmation. I am a channel for the expression of the infinite love of God. The love in me is God in me. I do not generate love. I simply express it. I do not need to make myself love certain people. I need only to get myself out of the way and let the divine energy of love flow through me as it is its nature to do. I now let love go forth from me universally in all directions. Everyone is lovely to me. And everything is beautiful and meaningful. All hate and hurts are dissolved, and everything is touched into wholeness. This love is the fulfillment of health, happiness, and prosperity in me. It draws me to and draws to me all that which is good and only that which is good. Love flows forth through me in transcendent loveliness, renewing, vitalizing, bringing joy, harmony, and blessing to everything and everyone it touches, and blessing me with emotional, mental, and physical wholeness. Please join me in reciting our mission statement. The mission of Unity Church in Albany is to awaken to and embrace the divine essence of all beings through prayer and service. And our vision statement: we celebrate oneness with spirit and with the divine nature of all. And it wouldn't be Sunday service without announcements. We are a praying community, and we offer prayer chaplains for support. You can leave your prayer intentions at this phone number or at unityalbanyprays@yahoo.com. Silent Unity is available for you 24/7 at that phone number, online, and in a mobile app. Lots of stuff is what's happening at Unity. It's all online, and you can zoom in. There's Sunday fellowship at 11:30 today, now and through the summer. The link and the password are in the newsletter. Since you're sitting in front of your computer, you're very close to the newsletter. We have revived the book study club. It's now the Monday Book Club, and it meets at 7 p.m. starting on June 29th. That's a week from tomorrow. And the book is Unity, A Quest for Truth by Eric Butterworth. This book was at one time given to all new members, so you might even have a copy already on your shelf. We have heart-to-heart Zoom fellowship on Tuesdays at noon, hosted by board members and other church leadership. And on Thursdays at 9 a.m., we have prayer hour hosted by the chaplains. It's 9 a.m. on Thursdays. And at 1 p.m. on Thursdays, Walking Each Other Home, Grief and Beyond in the Time of COVID, with Patricia Hunt Perry and friends. This is the final session on June 25th at 1 o'clock. Join us on Zoom. Reverend Steve is beginning a new class on Wednesday on the book The Eye of the Storm.
Yes, I'm excited about that. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Ooh-wee. Okay, I think that's better. We had some echoes here in myself. So anyway, part of our transitional work is to help Unity Church in Albany take a look at what's been going on in the past and what's happening now. This book, The Eye of the Storm, some of you may be familiar with it. It's The Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict and Creating Peace. It's a classic book that's been around for several years. Reverend Gary Simmons, a Unity minister, created it. And most Unity churches have had this class, and many of them make this a requirement class for membership in the church. So we're going to be doing 5 Wednesdays, starting this Wednesday, the 24th, at 7 o'clock on Zoom. Look forward to chatting with you and wishing you a very good, happy day, Father's Day.
I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued and consistent support. You can donate to Unity Church via PayPal at unityalbany.org or make a check and mail it to Unity Church. The Daily Word for Sunday, June 21, 2020. Father's blessing. I give thanks to all expressions of fatherly love. My relationship with my father may have been positive and nurturing or difficult and challenging. He may have been a strong presence during my childhood, or he may have been absent. We may be part of each other's lives today. We may be estranged, or he may have passed from this earthly life. Whatever our circumstances, I bless my Father, and I see him enfolded in divine love. As I honor my Father, I also honor all the father figures who have helped me and guided me along my path. Family members, teachers, neighbors, clergy, employers, and friends, I bless them as I recall all the ways, each one in a unique way, has modeled strength, guidance, wisdom, and patience. Their presence remains with me thanks to their gifts of fatherly love. And from Proverbs chapter 4, I have taught you the way of wisdom. I have led you in the paths of uprightness. I leave you with a very simple prayer from a monk in Darjeeling, India. We need simple living and high thinking. Never forget for 1 minute, I love you madly.
We love you madly too, Dennis. In beauty, may I walk all day long. May I walk through the seasons. May I walk. May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace on this path. May I walk through my life. May I walk in old age. May I walk. May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace. May I walk. 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 May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace, in joy. May I walk in love. May I walk in gratitude. May I walk. May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace, in stillness. May I walk in forgiveness. May I walk in loving kindness. May I walk. May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace. May I walk. 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 May I walk in peace. Again. May I walk. 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 May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace. May I walk in peace.
Whoa. That's a beautiful, beautiful song. It is so obvious, is it not? That we're called to walk in peace, that we're called to walk in forgiveness, we're called to walk in love. And Unity Church in Albany has a beautiful commitment to that. And one of the commitments is our oneness statement, which you see in the screen. And we've said this many times, and I would invite all of us to dig a little bit deeper and find ways that is still our growing edge of seeing and affirming and believing and extending thoughts of oneness to all. For example, when we see some protests going on, when we see some political figures, when we see pain in our life, when we see brothers and sisters acting in ways that don't support spiritual principle, are we able to shift our awareness back to and our thoughts back to what we say every Sunday in our oneness statement? So let's do this now. Together, the power of Christ's love now releases me from any sense of separation from Spirit or others. There is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. That one is God, the good, omnipotence. And we know this. I believe and we affirm that there is only love.
This moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. It's a love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
You know, many times in my life, I'm sure it probably feels the same way for you. There are moments when you get a sense that there is only love. And as people are coming to your life, perhaps the fathers on Father's Day, we're remembering fathers perhaps. And also other people, maybe they're father figures, that come in and just by their very essence touch you. And I want to honor someone that touches me very deeply, Dennis Ryan. Those of you that have been around Unity in Albany for a while know Dennis well. And if he is not an epitome of a loving presence, of a father figure for perhaps many of us, of someone that is truly alive and a servant, he gives new meaning to sacred service. It is only love. The love that we see in people like you, Dennis, is really a reflection of who we are also. And so this Father's Day, we take a deep breath, and as we move further into meditation and to awareness, as we open our minds and hearts to the truth, the spiritual truth about ourselves. So we take a breath. We take a deep breath and let it go fairly gently, and so there may be a question for all of us on the planet this day, since we all have one. And sometimes we know, sometimes we do not. But we do have a Father. And as we open to our deep soul, what is the spiritual truth about our Father? Regardless of what might have happened in our relationship with Him, and fathers would be father figures also. Perhaps our father was not with us as we moved into this world and grew into this world, or maybe has left the planet now. There is only love. A love that blesses, a love that reminds us that we are forever one with all creation. And an important part of creation in our life is our biological father, and of course our mother, and others that have blessed us on this path. So perhaps we see ourselves having a time with our Father that one memory might be that is one we cherish. Perhaps we see and feel and even hear an image, a scene, words, emotions of our time with our Father. And perhaps some of those emotions might be a call for forgiveness of Him and of ourselves. We move for a moment, extended time now in this silence where we embrace the truth about our Father, the truth that is calling us home, perhaps to a new level, a new depth of oneness and of expression and embrace of love. In the silence we know. As we gently shift our awareness back to our space, wherever we may be, and as we know that there's a place within us where we are one with all that is, we are one with what appears to be so real and powerful and right with us, we are one with all relationships, even those we have judged wanting or judged painful, and of course it's easy to be one with those that we accept unconditionally. And so this day of stepping out in Father's Day with unconditional love, or at least the willingness to have and to express and to hold unconditional love with all creation, with all peoples everywhere, we give thanks in advance as we hear this beautiful, powerful invitation to remember and to hold and to live. My Father and I are one. Thank you so much. You are so appreciated, music team. You're just awesome. And you know, when you select, and I think Roger, you do most of your guided, you select all the music for whatever comes forth on a Sunday. It is always absolutely perfect, because all of you are connected with Spirit in ways that at least touch me very, very deeply. And I have a front row seat, actually second pew seat here to be really blessed by all of you. And so just know that this is a part, you know, music is a pathway to the heart, always is, and for me it's always been a huge part of why I become a unity minister, and that is to be with places and to share with people in ways that words cannot, and that's through music. It always touches, I think, most people all the time. So on Father's Day, one thing we do know about being a minister, Father's Day and Mother's Day for some people are very complicated. And I want to say up front that I honor that, I understand that, and I have my own complications around mainly around my father, in my case, and not as much my mother. And there were moments, and yet those were moments that each of us have growing up into an awareness, an awakening of who we truly are. And so we're not going to be doing spiritual bypassing today. Spiritual bypassing is says, oh, we're going to talk about fathers, and damn, are they good. They were good. My dad was the greatest person on the planet. No. And it may be. All that is true at some level for you. But so far, if you haven't run out of your room screaming wherever you are, you might still do that. We're here to walk with each other home to an awareness of spiritual principle in the midst of everything. And so in the midst of what's going on right now with you and in your life, perhaps your father is with you right now physically, wherever you are watching this service. Or perhaps your father has passed on years ago. My father passed away when he was 67. And he went the way he always said he wanted to. He was always a golfer. He says, I want to go when I'm playing golf and we are winning. And that's exactly what happened. Age 67, they were winning on the 9th hole, and he dropped. He was gone. And one of the most important, powerful memories I have of my dad, the minute I heard that news, my mother called me. One of my most powerful thoughts was, there's nothing that I regret not having said to my dad, because I had said to him many times, I love you, Dad. I love you, Dad. And that was not an easy place for me to get, because of my dad's generation, and some of it's still true with some people and some men, for example, that it's difficult to know when are we going to pay attention. And so one of the things that I want to show you this slide. When a father gives to his son, both laugh. When a son gives to his father, both cry. So, granted, fathers and mothers also, we're here to raise our kids. And quite often in a family that isn't beyond all families at some level are dysfunctional. I hate to say that, but that's the human condition. And so if the dysfunction wasn't very, very, really, really painful, most of us has some positive feelings about our father. And can you think of a time when you gave to your father through words, perhaps, or deeds, perhaps unexpected? Perhaps when you first said, I love you, Dad. I may have shared this here before. Sometimes it's all a blur what I've said when, especially in Corona time. But what I remember the first time in the 60s and 70s when I was beginning to open up, I'd been taking some counseling classes and began to be aware of my behavior, my thoughts and my words, and also some spiritual thoughts around love. And quite often therapists would talk about, well, how is your relationship with your father? What's your relationship with your father? What are your words that convey how you truly feel to your father? And I talked a little bit, I tap dance around a few things. Oh, my dad is a rageaholic and blah, 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 blah. And then therapist said, well, Steve, do you love your dad? And I paused a moment. I said, well, yes, I do. He said, yes, you said you do. When was the last time you told him that? And that was like a gut punch. This is back when I was in my 30s. And maybe earlier than that. And so long story short, I would always have phone conversations with my mother and dad, wherever I lived around the country, which is quite a few places. And I remember the first time I sucked up the willingness and the courage to say at the end of the phone call, I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I never said those words out loud in a way that I clearly meant them and conveyed that to him. And you may think that sounds impossible because maybe you do that on a normal day. You were always raised that way. Well, and there was a pause, and my mother said fairly quickly, "I love you, Steve." And my dad didn't say anything. And I felt good about saying that. The next phone call, the next week, I said the same thing. "I love you, Mom, I love you, Dad." This time my dad also said, "I love you, Steve." And we moved from the old traditional male handshake to a hug, and it was a pat in the back, the bra hug. And that continued the rest of our life. Now, for those of us that are in a generation that I think many people, many men have made a huge leap into an awareness of, it's time that we give to each other and saying the words, and so it brings forth tears. And so the next slide, To Kill a Mockingbird. This is the quote, To Kill a Mockingbird was a stunning book. And in some ways, it set a stage for a lot of us. But towards the end of the story, when the hero of the story, the father, Atticus, he walked out of the courtroom because he just had a major defeat by many definitions. He walked out of the courtroom. And the preacher says, as he walks by his children, "Stand up, your father passes by." Respect, love. So how might you translate that into your life and your relationship with your father and or your father figure? Stand up, your father is passing by. To what degree are you still having some barriers to an awareness and a willingness to accept that you and your father are one at the spiritual level, obviously? And if you have a hard time with that, well then, good, because you're aware of that. Awareness precedes change. So we see this heart. So I'm inviting us to say, this Father's Day, let us tell the truth this year about our fathers. And how about the every moment you're awake and alive and alert? I tell the truth about my love for my father figure. There is only love, and it is only love that is true. Thank you for your love, Father. Now, sometimes, for those of us that have had some past or current or ongoing challenges with Father, this might be pretty difficult. It might be pushing your comfort zone. Go back to that other slide. But I want to have us affirm, there's an affirmation with one of these 6 slides. I'd like to invite you to say it aloud if you feel like you're called to, and then pay attention to how you are feeling about it, your intention. And if your father's not on the planet or whatever, could you follow up with a phone call, with Zoom, or with whatever it is, to connect with your father and to tell him or your father figure this powerfully. Together, there is only love, and it is only love that is true. Thank you for your love, Father. One more time, softly this time. There is only love, and it is only love that is true. Thank you for your Father. Thank you for your love, Father. Now, whether or not your father actually gave you the amount or the kind of love that you felt, perhaps isn't important. Perhaps he wasn't in a space to do that yet. But the love didn't go anywhere. Love is all there is. And the next slide, I tell the truth about my willingness to forgive my father and myself. So forgiveness goes all kinds of ways. We could talk for hours about forgiveness, the concept of forgiveness. At the highest level of spiritual truth, there's nothing to forgive because we're all one, and anything that's not of love, as the Course in Miracles would say, and other spiritual teachings like A Course of Love, anything that is not of love is really an illusion at the highest level of spiritual awareness and belief. On the other hand, we're not there so many times on this planet. So we want to tell the truth about my willingness to forgive my father and myself. It's 24/7, every day the rest of our life. Are we willing to forgive, whatever the thoughts may be? Course of Love says, I am willing and I commit all thoughts to union, to oneness, to love. So I forgive and release my father for all mistakes he seemingly made. He did the best that he could do at the time, and that's okay. And that's not a new concept. You can say that, by the way, if those of you that can't understand why somebody might have some complications around their fathers, well, you might say, well, I have some around my mother. Well, if it fits, same concept. But what is calling you to go deeper than you ever had before in your relationship with your father, whether he's here or not? So let's read this bottom paragraph, the affirmation, together. I forgive and release my father for all mistakes he seemingly made. He did the best that he could do at the time, and that's okay. Let's say it softly one more time. I forgive and release my father for all mistakes he seemingly made. He did the best that he could do at the time. And now we're going to reword that last paragraph for yourself. Back up. I forgive and release myself for all mistakes I seemingly made. I did the best I could. So let's turn it inward to you and pay attention as you say this, what comes forth for you. Together. I forgive and release my father. My mistakes I made. I did the best that I could do at the time. One more time. I forgive and release myself for all mistakes I seemingly made. I did the best that I could do at the time. Now notice in that first sentence at the bottom of the paragraph, he seemingly made, or I seemingly made. The reason that's there is we're going into a spiritual truth now. In our humanness, it's very real and very powerful when we make mistakes. When I make mistakes, when you make mistakes, when someone does. But the truth is, there is only love. So the next slide. I forgive myself. What else do you have about your father to forgive? And so, many ways we decide, well, I don't want to be judging, but. So that could be one that you might want to say, I forgive myself for those thoughts. I forgive myself for all mistakes I've made in my relationship with my father. And will you radically accept that the mistakes are what is, mistakes are what were, or if it's happening right now? You know, today you might get into an incredible disagreement or argument with your father or your father figure, or yourself about something. How about having compassion for you and for the mistakes that you have made? And as we do that, as we consistently move to spiritual awareness in our relationships, guess what happens? Our relationships begin to change on their own without our even being aware sometimes that it happens. You never notice when you really truly forgive someone that somehow that relationship shifts? Your thoughts about it do, whether or not that person is still on the planet. I forgive myself for all mistakes I've made in my relationship with my father. Now, this is for fathers only that are watching right now. I'm not a father. But what's important is, in relationships, tell your stories to your children. Now, in some ways, you think, well, I do that. Well, good. Is it possible that the stories you're telling your children have an invitation for you to go deeper with them? To what degree do you tell your children about times when you were in grief, times when you were in pain, times when you made a mistake and you felt really bad about it? One of the things I remember about my father that I held against him for many, many years was that I don't recall him rarely ever apologizing to me. My mother always said I have to apologize to Dad for what I did. And of course, I responded in ways that weren't necessarily wonderful. So, what about sharing your life journey in an authentic way? For fathers only, what is on your plate right now, given what's going on in your life and the life of your kids, the life of your family, the life of people on the planet, that you haven't shared with your family for fear of driving them away, making them mad, opening up a can of worms? What about your life journey are you creating that you can create greatness for your children? You know, it's one thing, you are instilling values of loyalty, faithfulness, willingness to dive into something. You are instilling values in your children. Perhaps you haven't seen it that way. What about the value of humility, the value of sacrifice, the value of faithfulness? Everyone is demonstrating that. And so for fathers only, your journey ain't over. And if your kids are still with you in some fashion or another, there's a possibility that you can move to another level. And the next slide, fathers only, claim your true power. Your true power is not how well you believe you're doing in your job. Your true power is not celebrating something, accomplishment in one of your sports teams. Your true power is your divinity. Fathers only, if you're watching this, you're probably not new to spirituality. You probably have an interest, perhaps for years, for decades, you might have been on a spiritual path. Perhaps it's been unity, perhaps it's not. But you've heard this phrase, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It's not that we're human beings having a spiritual experience. Sometimes we forget that. We're very comfortable in many ways with the separation, being in human form. And except when in the human form, when things go awry, how about the latest racial strife, the pain and the suffering that we're diving into deeply on a planet that it's not being ignored again with our brothers and sisters of color, especially African Americans? What about being a beacon of spiritual light in that, to claim your divinity, to move into, I'm going to take a look at what I'm not looking at with spiritual eyes that's on my life right now, in my life, and especially in my family. I'm going to take another look at it, and I'm going to have a willingness to step into it, even though I don't want to, even though I have a level of resistance, or perhaps it's fear. If it's fear, that's a call for love. And so as we claim our divinity, this is true for everyone in the family, but particularly for fathers, have some compassion for yourself. So no matter what your relationship has been like with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, your first spouse, your second spouse, whatever it might be, have some compassion for you and for others. That we do the best that we can do, and is that the best that's possible? Not necessarily. Hardly. We've never quite arrived. So you're a beacon of spiritual light to your family, regardless of anything, regardless of their perception, and so on. So, friends, we're on Father's Day 2020, and this is a time where a lot of emotions are going on around the planet, and a lot of emotions within families. And I would encourage all of us, whatever families we may have, and even if we're living alone, we still have a family of an awareness of fathers and father figures, and of others that are on the planet with us, that are with us. And so it's always possible to have a happy Father's Day. And so let there be a happy Father's Day, and let it happen right now with you, and making a difference in someone else's life that is a father by acknowledging to them how much you love them and appreciate them for what they've done. And so now we're going to watch some beautiful, beautiful slides. Happy Father's Day. Some of you that were here in 2018 will recognize these photos. we've added, I think, about 8 or 9 photos that came in this month to photos to fathers. So take a look, and maybe your family is not up there, your father is not up there, but perhaps you can rejoice in the photos that you do see and the music that's going to accompany it. And you can also be aware that there is only love. God bless you.
We're going to share a song that, it goes out to all the fathers and encourage them to claim their, what were the words you had, Steve? I forget the wording, but true colors in this case. And also we sing this in part because of the landmark important decision by the U.S. Supreme Court this week, opposing discrimination in the workplace for LGBTQ folks. So here's to all of you. Anyone needs to be encouraged to find and accept their true nature, allow it to shine. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and
You with your sad eyes Don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it in the darkness that's inside. You can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you can call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I'll see your true colors shining through. I'll see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. I can't remember when I last saw you laugh. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I'll see your true colors shining through. I'll see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
I felt some healing myself around that. And one of my first thoughts was, I wonder if that ruling is retroactive to 1999, when I was fired by a Unity Church for being gay, primarily. And finally decided, well, no, it's not retroactive, but in my heart, will I continue to do what I've been doing with my true colors around wanting to say, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you. To continue that. And I do. And I also hold the possibility that there may be some response from this Unity ministry at some point in my life, maybe not. So where are we right now in terms of our Sunday service? This is where we give thanks in advance for the gifts that we're giving, and for the Unity Church in Albany to give thanks to you for supporting a source of your spiritual food. So if this is a source of your spiritual food, and perhaps you've already given online or whatever it might be, but hold in your heart this statement that we say every Sunday, and there's new meaning that is yearning to be expressed by you. And so we say together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We are blessed to know that Spirit is our source. Thank you, Father, Mother God, and so it is. Amen.
Who will guide me when I cannot see? Who will lift me from the pit when I'm falling in a world between? Take my ship safely up from the stormy seas. I trust my Father, for He gave His hand to me. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of your heart you'll find the house is always open. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of our hearts we'll find the house is always open. For you, my daughters and sons, for you are the child of the eternal one. I find my Father, He is inside of me, this eternal power. Oh, lift the veils and see, I am my Father. Oh, and my Father is me. I am the flower of His infinite tree. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of your heart you'll find the house is always open. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of our hearts we'll find the house is always open. For you, my daughters and sons, for you are the child of the eternal one. Hold me in your light when there's darkness all around. Hold me in your light, you are my sacred ground. Hold me in the light that's streaming out from my Father's house. For in my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of your heart you'll find the house is always open. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of our hearts we'll find the house is always open. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of your heart you'll find the house is always open. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and through the doorway of our hearts we'll find the house is always open. For you, my daughters and sons, for you are the child of the eternal one. I'm in my Father's house, 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 I'm in my
Father's house. I'm in my Father's house. I'm in my Father's house. I'm in my Father's house.
Yes, we are always in our Father's house, in God's house. And in our own house, we are also in a mansion. Sometimes we think we need to do some remodeling to some new extensions or even get a new house. But the reality of it is, in God's house, we are all one and it is all good. And so we give thanks for the gifts given to Unity Church in Albany. We accept them with great joy and wonder as we say, we step out to do God's will and God's work in, as, and through all of us. And we say thank you. Thank you, sweet Spirit, and amen. Now we're at that time of our service where you can imagine in your mind's eye on the stage here, we hold all of the youth of the world in our heart and mind. And we also have some slides of a blessing we're going to give. The next one is we have a blessing for our youth. We say the blessing. And are these some of our, is that first one a new one?
My son and my granddaughter.
All right. All right. Well,
Marianne, she's quite young.
okay, cool. I love it. So we're looking for more slides like that of your children. Please send them to Roger, to the church. And we will include the rest of these. These slides anyway, were in Dallas, Texas, where I was. So you can be literal and say, well, right now I don't see any children up there, so what's the point? The point is, in consciousness, if we hold an intention in consciousness with power and do it in unison, we will soon manifest what we say we're affirming. So we're going to be blessing the youth of the world as we hold the youth of all ages and everywhere around the planet in your heart and mind right now, and also youth in your own life and perhaps in this ministry. And also we see the energy flowing and embracing families and children on their way here. So it's a two-part blessing. We go first. We say a blessing to our youth up there, and then we pause a moment in the silence and we hear them affirm it back to us. So first, it's our turn. Here we go. Together, God loves you and accepts you just the way you are, and I love you and accept you just the way you are. I behold the Christ you are. Your turn, youth. And so it is. Amen.
And that's our congregant Erica's son Nicholas. I think it's Nicholas. Her daughter Emily and my granddaughter Gloria.
Oh, wonderful. So we'll have some more. We can rearrange the slides as we have more babes to show up there. So, cool. So today it's been a wonderful day for Father's Day. We thank all fathers, and we're here to bless you. And I also want to thank the music team. You're also stunning and heartfelt, and a gift awesome for Dennis, for you. Happy birthday yesterday to you, Dennis. And then on audio and video, we have Terry and Ron. Thank you so much for being part of this, make this happen virtually. And so we're going to be closing with the prayer for protection, and then Love is My Decision is our closing song. So our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And love is our decision.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to stop. up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
Have a great week, everyone. Happy Father's Day.
I think we should sing happy birthday to Dennis.